Hello. I've got the modest title of a talk called Abstinence and Death. I left the graphics, so I'll have to do it myself. What do you wish? The disease theory maintains that abstinence is the main alternative to death. It's the only way to avoid dying from substance use. But I'm going to begin by talking about how abstinence contributes to and is connected with death. I should know, I come from the most abstinence-oriented country in the universe, the United States of America. We don't allow people to drink until they're 21. 21. And it's none of this where you're in a restaurant with your parents, you can drink under 21. They'll arrest you if you try to give wine to your 20-year-olds in a restaurant in America. I've seen it happen. Abstinence-oriented treatment is everything. In fact, I had an abstinence-oriented treatment center. We don't tell young people anything about drinking, the possibility of drinking, or any conceivable benefits they have. So I know about abstinence. I come from the abstinence capital of the universe. Recently, the Dietary Guidelines for Americans said moderate drinkers live longer than abstainers and have lower rates of dementia. They wouldn't put it this way, but abstinence is a risk factor for heart disease, abstinence from alcohol, and premature death. You believe that? You believe that, buddy? You don't believe that. Why would the Dietary Guidelines come out and say that, do you think? That modern drinkers live longer. Why would they mislead the American public that way?
Make money.
To make money. So, apropos of changing people's minds, people don't believe these things. To make money. This is released by the United States government. The United States government believes in abstinence. You got to trace back who we're talking about. The United States government bans applications for harm reduction research. So the guy who said to make money, who's making money from this? Do you reckon? The Dietary Guidelines for Americans, who makes money from that? But that's not the point. The point is, people aren't going to believe data. I want to talk about harm reduction in the United States, cultural memes versus reality. What is science? What is addiction? And what world do we prepare for? We got some big topics on hand here, don't you think? I'm going to clear up everything for you. I just moved to Brooklyn, New York on September 1st. I used to live in New Jersey. I lived in New Jersey the entire time Governor Whitman was governor of New Jersey. She appointed an AIDS commission. And the first thing and she appointed as the head of the AIDS commission an insurance person that she knew. And the first thing that the AIDS Commission recommended was needle exchange. And so what did she do? She fired the head of the AIDS Commission and put a priest in place. Because you can always count on a priest, let's face it, who recommended abstinence. You know that in the UK, you avoided the second wave of HIV transmission. In the United States, we didn't avoid it. It invaded inner city communities and even affected badly children. There was a second wave of infection. Was Governor Whitman hurt by the fact that she rejected, by the way, the head of the commission recommended needle exchange because the American Centers for Disease Control and the administration's own Surgeon General said it was effective, not only in stemming HIV transmission, but in bringing people closer to be treated. It actually had a salutary effect on them achieving abstinence. Was she hurt by the fact that people died? Young kids. The way it works is kids became infected from their parents. It was mainly an inner city problem. Did that hurt her politically? What do you think in America? The guy there with the red and white shirt. Red, white, and blue shirt. You think that hurt her politically? What would she say? What catchphrase would she say and everybody would endorse in America? Why she wouldn't allow needle exchange? What's the American catchphrase she used? She didn't want to send, help me out now.
The wrong message.
The wrong message. You can't tell people that they can use drugs safely, and in America, everybody agrees with that. And that's a cultural meme. And that's more important than everything. Everything. It's more important than science. Forget the evidence. It creates how people practice. But it's not only politicians who express needs. Don't get that wrong. Scientists themselves are devoted to cultural stereotypes and memes. What's the source of the abstinence fixation in America? That's a long and hard question. It grew out of the temperance movement in the United States. And as I said, philosophy dominates practice and it overwhelms evidence. Governor Whitman wasn't worried that public health evidence went against her. She didn't have a bit of concern about that. Here's a quote from Max Planck. He's a German physicist. A new scientific truth does not triumph by convincing its opponents and making them see the light, but rather because its opponents eventually die and a new generation grows up that is familiar with it. Not a very optimistic description of the way science works, but he's overly optimistic. Because in the United States, people die, and then new people come in with the same cultural needs. And we're going to see, perhaps, by the end that American young people are as devoted to these cultural needs as any current adults or senior citizens. What is science? Nora Volkow said, she's at the National Institute of Drug Abuse. She's the most famous addiction expert in America. Addiction is all about dopamine. There's a new specialty in America, the American Society of Addiction Medicine. It's a chronic brain disorder. They say addiction is not a choice. Addictive behaviors are a manifestation of a disease. That's not only prevailing wisdom in America, that's holy writ. I'm going to show you some data, what human beings actually do. The United States, I've quoted one document from America, the Dietary Guidelines for America, for Americans. The United States does an annual survey called the National Survey of Drug Use and Health. This is the percentage of people who are diagnosable as abusers or dependent on drugs and alcohol. What do those numbers say?
Age out.
Huh?
They age out.
They age out. Oh, you're professional.
Or they die.
What's that?
Or they die. Okay.
What percentage of 18-year-olds do you think die of drug abuse?
No, I mean,
What percentage of Americans at 18? You can't just blur about anything, miss. One in 10,000 18-year-olds dies of any cause annually. 0.001%. You think that accounts for a drop in 7%? If you can't understand the fundamentals of epidemiology, you'll have a hard time looking at these data.
I did perhaps mean further on when they got to the 50s, 60s, and 65.
Oh, you're looking at the 60s, are you?
Yeah.
Let's focus on 18 to 25 and 26 to 29. 22% of them are diagnosable. What happens as they age? What goes on?
They go to universities and colleges.
Then they get married. What boring lives they lead. But they tend to decline their drug and alcohol use, quit smoking, and stop rampant sex. Let's all have a moment of silence. Depression. Here's a bigger survey. The National, screw it, you can read it yourself. It's run by the National Institute on Alcohol Abuse and Alcoholism, which has been devoted to abstinence. The NIAAA witch hunted people who said that alcoholics could ever control their drinking. You know how that guy, you don't believe that any alcoholic could ever control their drinking, do you? You don't believe that, do you? You don't believe that, anyhow. Never! The NIAAA 100% committed to that. They did 43,000 interviews. Only the United States government can do that. They identified people who were ever alcoholic. This is what they found. You're going to have to focus now. We're talking real numbers. What do these numbers say? Everybody at this table has been diagnosed at some point in their life as alcohol dependent. This is how they drank in the last year before they were interviewed. What do these data say?